What's up everybody, this is Danny, and today I'm going to be doing the video comparison between the brand new Galaxy S23 Ultra versus the iPhone 14 Pro Max. I'm right in front of the Samsung Experience store, just picked up my device. So let's test this out and see which one has the best video. Did the S23 Ultra improve? Let's see. So let's start with just the standard 4K video. All of this footage was taken handheld, so this is what you can expect when you get your Galaxy S23 Ultra or iPhone 14 Pro Max. Both are linked below to make them easy to pick up. It does depend on the scenario and the lenses that you're shooting with, but the main sensor here shows the S23 Ultra with more shadow detail, where the iPhone is leaning towards heavier contrast, so this is going to be personal preference. Here in San Francisco, I thought I would test the stabilization on all lenses at the same time, and it looks like with the ultra wide here, the S23 Ultra is showing slightly higher dynamic range in the sky, which is nice, but switching to the main lens, you can see that completely flip-flops, where the S23 Ultra now is brighter in the foreground, and this also gives you an idea of how smooth the lens transitions are. The red replication on his shirt also shows you the vibrancy of the red on the iPhone, and the jacket is completely black, where the S23 Ultra's video has a slightly washed out look, but the shocker here is the optical image stabilization on the 3x telephoto with video. The iPhone seems to struggle a bit with the jelly effect, where the S23 Ultra's video is very usable with the telephoto, so this could be the new improved stabilization across lenses that Samsung was talking about. But when you go into the 10x optical zoom, that's when things start suffering, but I'm not sure who's going to be walking with 10x zoom, but I thought I would show it to you here anyways. Of course, I had to test the improved 8K video on the S23 Ultra since it can shoot that resolution, and it looks great. The colors and detail look so similar to each other looking at it like this. But punch in heavily and you can see just how detailed the S23 Ultra's 8K video is. It does have quite a bit of sharpening to it, but it is impressive. The iPhone video is really good though. At 4K, there's a lot of detail retained here, so the video quality is fantastic. I wanted to do one more test with the 8K video. Let's say that if you're filming something a little closer, does it make a huge difference? Here is the building punched in from where I was standing. Again, it's quite impressive on both sides when it comes to video. So much detail on the bricks and the staircases, so let me know which one that you think looks better. I know I showed you 4K stabilization earlier, but I also wanted to show you what 8K video stabilization looks like, and it looks good. So even with the higher resolution video, the stabilization looks solid, but if you look closely, the iPhone does look a little more stable, but I don't think it's enough of a difference for everyday use. They both have super stabilization mode, so I had to test that out. Now the Samsung shoots in QHD up to 60 frames per second, so it makes it more comparable. I am noticing a dynamic range advantage here on the iPhone in the sky. You can really see it here, and handheld, the iPhone's action mode looks smoother at the time of launch, so let me know what you think about that. Portrait mode video also gets a bump up in quality on the S23 Ultra to 4K, which is great, so this makes them very comparable again. They both have totally different looks in this scenario. Again, a lot more contrast on the iPhone 14 Pro Max. I think Samsung just needs some tuning here. The detail is there. It looks like it just needs some adjustments with this brighter lighting. This was taken about an hour before the sun went down, so this does look a little bit different than the last scenario. As you can see, the S22 Ultra is cutting out my hands where the iPhone is locked straight onto my face, which is personal preference of what you like and how you shoot video. In this test, I wanted to see if I could fool the cameras with putting the hands in front of my face, and they both did a pretty good job with this. And the last test was the pull focus. They both do good, but the iPhone's was really smooth, almost like a mirrorless camera, which is really impressive. Before I move on to nighttime video, there are a few more modes I wanted to test out. They both have macro mode in video, and they both have tons of detail, but it looks like the iPhone might be bringing out a little bit more detail in this metal, so let me know what you think. Of course, I had to do a light flare test against the sun so you can get an idea of what to expect. The light flares are definitely larger on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, so while Samsung still has it, it's nowhere near as bad. So I'll test this against the S22 Ultra to see if it has improved from the last generation. And finally, here is the front-facing portrait mode video, which gets that 4K bump up. I do have to say I like the skin tone better on the iPhone, even though it is towards the redder side, but the yellowing of the skin on the S23 Ultra does look a little off, so definitely some tuning is needed there as well. Okay, so daytime is cool and all, but what about the nighttime? Let's see if the Galaxy S23 Ultra is better at night. Here's the front-facing camera. I'm here in Chinatown in San Francisco to check out this nightlife, and let me know which one that you think looks better. So here we go, nighttime video. I know a lot of you are really waiting for this to see if Samsung's improved, and for the most part, I'm happy to report there is an improvement. In this lighting scenario, they are very similar, which is a great thing. The colors are more saturated on the S23 Ultra, but to me, this looks like a nice bump up from the S22 Ultra, but I need to test that to be sure, so that is the next video coming up, so stay tuned. Here is a better example of that saturation difference. It seems like the darker it gets, the more saturation gets cranked up, so that'll be personal preference as well. Because of this color tuning, the iPhone, in my opinion, still has the more true-to-life replication in this scenario. But if you look at that sky, that is a big improvement on Samsung's side, so I'm really happy to see that. And what I want to do here is test how smooth the transition is to the ultra-wide camera and see what that video looks like in low light. Besides the color characteristics, it looks like the ultra-wide video is sharper and clearer on the Samsung side. So again, this is looking good so far. There is a close-up of the noise pattern side by side from the ultra-wide camera in this same lighting scenario, just so you can take a look at that. So what about 8K video at night? This is where I was impressed and disappointed at the same time. The colors here just aren't accurate, and the overwhelming red tone of the video, while it does give it a stylistic look, I personally am not a fan. Look at Board It Works hoodie, the iPhone's colors are accurate in this scenario, but naturally looking to the left, the 8K video has an impressive amount of detail at night. This is a more noticeable difference at night compared to the daytime. Here is a look at the noise pattern in the same video, looking at the sky, and while the noise is definitely there on both sides, they both look pretty comparable, but I am seeing banding in the sky on the iPhone. I'm not sure if you see that or not, might be different in ProRes, but this is a pure auto point and record comparison to make things fair. Here is a better look at what 8K video can do at night and the detail difference. That is a huge difference, and I think that night video, especially in 8K, has a ton of potential after maybe some color adjustments in software. I think this has a lot to do with letting noise happen so the details can be preserved. As you can see in the sky, the noise is quite heavy, so let me know what you think about that. Here's another look at that color science on the S23 Ultra. It's just so red here and saturated, where the iPhone, while it is a little too bright, is more pleasing in my opinion. Here is that 8K video now with walking stabilization at night going downhill, and they are both doing a great job. And again, the detail level on the S23 Ultra 8K video is incredible. Such a difference, and I can clearly see it. I wanted to test this out too in 4K. This is 4K 30 frames per second going uphill this time. And there is the difference in red color replication. Looks like it's the same on the Samsung from last year, but I need to do my Coca-Cola building test, so I'm going to do that next. There is a switch again to the ultra wide for reference, but I think even in 4K, I can conclude that the details are better on the Samsung. We just need to get those colors under control with a software update and improve slightly on the noise reduction, and then I think we have a true competitor. The 3x video looks very dark on the S23 Ultra, but again, there is stabilization on the 3x camera. You probably wouldn't use a super stabilization mode at night, but just in case you want to use it, the iPhone needs good lighting to make this work, so you won't be able to use it. But the Galaxy S23 Ultra allows this in low light, and even though it doesn't look great, at least the option is there, so it's better than nothing. It's the same for portrait mode video at night too. It didn't work here on the iPhone because it required more light, and it worked perfectly here on the S23 Ultra. While Samsung does have its faults with the aggressive contrast in certain scenarios to crush that noise like here, the iPhone does a much better job of the foreground and the shadow detail, but those light flares, they can get a little crazy. But all in all, this is a step in the right direction for Samsung. I do prefer the consistency and the better shadow detail and the accuracy of the iPhone 14 Pro Max's video better, but we are getting closer than ever, so let's see what a few software updates can do. This makes things interesting. So let me know which one that you think took it in the comment section below. There's more videos coming up this week, so make sure you subscribe and hit that thumbs up for these camera comparisons. I would really appreciate that, and I will see you in the next one.